and welcome to Push Your Luck Videos. My name is Eric. Today we are looking at a game called Tomorrow. This was released in 2013 by Conquistador Games. Alright, it is developed by designer is Dirk Niemeyer, I think. Niemeyer. Sorry. Yeah. This was a review copy sent by GameSalute Games. I think they helped to produce Tomorrow along with Conquistador Games. Can't really pronounce it very well. Alright, so here you can see the game components. As far as I know, this was released in Kickstarter, and these wooden components, the mushroom clouds and the tanks were from the Kickstarter edition. So if you do buy the base game itself, I don't think these wooden components come with, but these wooden pawns, that's kind of the game. And but overall, the game design, the game art, and the components are all very nice, very thick cardboard. It's not the flimsy cardboard. Even the cards are also quite nice and quite good to hold. The art is very minimalistic. I would say very easy to look at. There are quite a lot of text to look at. So if you do get the game, it's not language independent. So it's a fair bit of things you need to read and stuff. But that is the game component. So let's talk about the gameplay itself. So essentially, during the game, it plays up to 4 to 6 players. We are controlling major power in the game, and we're trying to. The Earth is in peril. There's overpopulation. Resources are scarce. So we are trying to bring the threat level, which will be represented by this token, all right, on this board, from this X all the way down to the smiley face. I like it. It was a smiley face. Right. If it goes beyond the little skull here, all right, and then the game will end and we all lose. If at the end of 9 rounds, all right, which is denoted by these event cards, all right, so there'll be 9 of these event cards. We still do not manage to bring down the threat level all the way to the smiley face, then we will all have lost as well. Then when the game ends, we will all check how many points we have. Points are determined by how many of your own people you have left on the board, as well as these strategic cards, which some of them give you points, as well as how many nukes you may have used, and how many nukes people may have used on your continent. All right, and this will be the different points that you can get during the game, and whoever has the most points will win the game. All right, so we just played this game with my classmates here, so they'll introduce themselves and we'll talk about the game.
I'm Chris.
I'm also Chris.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rohan.
All right, so maybe we'll go with initial thoughts first. All right, so maybe Chris McGinnis, you can go with your initial thoughts of the game.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It's sort of hard to get right at the beginning, but once you start playing, I think you catch on pretty quickly. The turn order is nice because the way it works, you draw 2 different actions and you go around resolving one of them. So there's not a lot of downtime between turns since you're only doing 1 action per turn.
I think we talk about 1 hour plus.
Yeah.
I think,
I think the hour and 20 minutes is what they say.
Yeah.
I think we were a little under that.
Yeah.
It is sort of disturbing, the theme, but yeah, they've abstracted a lot of the characters enough that it's not too scary because you're trying to kill off almost half the population of the Earth due to overpopulation is sort of the narrative, but it's very interesting. I liked it.
Chris Wallace?
Before I commented on the narrative and stuff, I wanted to read this designer's note.
All right, okay.
So that's, sorry.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so a tip if you do play this game, don't start in Asia. The countries are very close together, and basically what you're doing is waging biological warfare on each other so the diseases can spread and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very easy because they're so clustered, it's very easy to just get hit, be collateral damage, basically. And I mean,
I mean, as someone who actually played in Asia, because Brian was the United States, I mean, I came in tied for 2nd or 3rd?
Third.
Okay, so yeah. So yeah, I guess that was that. But I mean, if I had understood some of the balancing better, like I had a few of those cards that had extra victory points.
Yeah.
And had I held on to those, rather than using them, it might have tipped the balance to my favor a little bit better.
I think it definitely would have. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
So-
strategy cards they give quite a lot of points.
Yeah.
Right now.
They're hard to obtain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
very
think-
hard.
I think the asymmetry is really nice though, and it is pretty well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
That was my. It did feel like there are a couple of different ways that the asymmetry represents itself, sort of in these different clusters, and the way that the victory points work, and the different special abilities that the cards have. So the asymmetry was really, really great, and I thought that overall, like mechanically, everything was very slick. It looks really, really slick. I agree that the theme is a little bit disturbing. I think that's sort of
It's a bit down.
it's a little bit weird, and it's not presented in a super like politically correct way, I don't think, but mechanically I think that the game is pretty tight.
Yeah. I think that I think some of the things that we encountered was that I think the rules were also, it's either I may have not read it entirely correctly in the sense that very thoroughly, and there's some rules that are a bit odd, like for example the exhausting of the troops, and whether when we take the troops back, do we exhaust them. Some of the rules is written more like a book in a way, more like a storybook in a way, because if you look inside, if you look, all the texts are all like bunched together. It's not that easy to understand the key rules together. Yeah, so you have to read through it quite carefully to understand what's happening.
It's very textbook.
Yeah, very dense. Yeah, very dense. It feels to me a bit more like diplomacy, like brought to the 20th century, kind of. Yeah, there's no really a lot of attacking. So when you attack each other, you don't really need to roll dice to see whether you win the territory or not. It's more like I got more troops than you, so I enter there. We were all fiddling around with the nuke. We were thinking whether to do it or not, but usually it's like what the manual did say. It's more for a vengeance. You don't really get a lot of points by nuking. You could prevent a lot of points though, but it's more for, I think, more like a kingmaker kind of thing.
Yeah, we should also mention that Brian, who played the U.S., nuked himself because there was a card that said the first person to nuke the U.S. Gets points.
Yeah, so he nuked
And
himself.
with everybody hates him was the flavor text of the card.
Yeah.
So he decided to prevent anyone else from getting points by nuking himself.
And he still won. So
So that's how powerful the United States is. It's represented by the game that you can nuke yourself and still win.
Yeah.
So what was strange is that, well, not strange, but I feel like a core tenet of the game was that it's very social.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tools for vengeance and generating spite.
Yeah.
And it's maybe that's why like this works, because maybe like everyone just like bands together against everyone else trying to kill them off, or
initially also I thought that it would be quite difficult to bring down the threat level because we were all like holding off, we were all being nice to each other, we weren't really like attack each other kind of thing. But
that happens in all these like social kind
true,
of
that it really started ramping up quite fast. Like,
Once we
yeah.
started putting biological people, biological outbreaks.
Who did the first one? Was you?
No, he did on me
Oh,
first.
okay.
You were.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Who remembers?
That's why he was targeting the whole.
I was also saying that I think if we had a 6-player, because if 6-player played India, I think it would be quite different.
Yeah, because at the beginning we were just picking off India because it was a player that couldn't retaliate, and we were getting a lot of points off just sort of taking them out.
Yeah, but most of the points is also not from killing people. Actually, most of the points is from the strategy cards. I think.
Yeah, the killing people is what brings what makes you win the game. But a lot of the points seem to actually come from getting the strategy cards and actually events. Getting the event cards, because some of them are worth like 5, which is worth like 10 people. So
I think they try to inject humor into the game as well. Like for example, like some of the diseases have very interesting names. Like this has the British hugging duckling syndrome. So I think they're trying to make it a bit, even though each pawn that you're removing is actually 70 million people, but I think they try to inject a bit of humor into the game. Keep it
thinking
clean.
about it, it's kind of dissonant because like just having read, because there were some things that weren't settling with me at first. Like you had mentioned, like you gain political capital, which are victory points, by killing people.
Correct.
And I mean, the designer's saying, he's trying to point out that the world we live in now is going to shit, and he's just trying to raise awareness of that in general, and like the realization that if we don't work together to stop global warming and all this other stuff that's going on, then maybe the governments will start killing everyone to reduce the population and stuff like that. So that's kind of his message.
Yeah.
But actually now thinking about, that's a very serious message.
Yeah.
And I respect that he's trying to, get some awareness about that. But then, yeah, looking at the humor side now, I guess, does it balance or does it not? I don't know. What do you guys think about, like...
I don't think it really does, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, there's not enough humor injected to make it lighthearted. I mean, it's still a little super serious, so it almost feels out of place to have these funny names for diseases and stuff, because not all of them are like that. Some are brain sucking and amoeba.
Like heavy spore anthrax. Like, okay, that sounds serious. But then you have bloody apple.
Yeah.
Like that. And the hugging duckling is the
whisper flu.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So it's So I don't
and
know.
also, I think some of the mechanisms like the cyberspace, the control cyberspace, I think it's a bit. I don't know. It felt like a tacked on kind of mechanism.
Yeah.
Kind of
But
thing.
it's really one of the only ways to get cards, because when you get the cards from advancing the tracks, that only happens twice in the whole game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you might only get 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're a big power with a lot of minor powers.
Yeah.
But like considering the stack of cards is quite large, like
quite
cyber
large,
power, the cyber control is actually very powerful.
How do you even get these cards? Like,
cyber
if you're
control.
cybering...
Cyberspace. Yeah.
You just always get one.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. You
It's
can
an
choose to get
option.
one. Yeah.
for the power.
Let's talk about the turn order. So the turn order.
Oh, this is just like, these are all just victory points.
Yeah. In the end. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we didn't really look through the cards at the beginning. So in terms of turn order, right at the beginning, either the EU player or the player controlling the cyberspace.
Which is China.
Yeah, at the beginning is China. Yeah, they can decide the turn order. So how important do you think the turn order is for the game?
It went back and forth. Sometimes it was good because as the EU, I always kept myself first. But sometimes being last almost seemed to be an advantage because Rohan was.
I was
usually
almost always last, and I felt
'cause he attacked
honestly, I
me.
felt like the turn order didn't matter at all. But getting this control of cyberspace card, which lets you get victory points, and also lets you determine the turn order. The fact that you can determine the turn order with this is sort of secondary.
Yeah.
Because turn order doesn't really affect the game terribly much.
Yeah.
There was a lot of response cards, I feel like.
Yeah.
And you always want to be last to kind of like save,
Yeah.
So,
well, sorry, dual use response cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think overall, I think we are okay with the game. It's not like super fantastic.
it was-
It us
I
at
would-
the beginning.
I would play again.
I would play again. I
Yeah.
would. I would now seeing how the mechanics work firsthand. Like, I'd be interested in trying out some different strategies. Maybe playing as one of the other nations.
I would definitely want to see how 6 players will be. Like.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I think that would
it
dramatically
really probably be quite different because there's no one to easily pick off on right now because right now we can easily pick on India because no one played India.
Yeah.
But I think if we had 6 players, I think we will need to negotiate. I think there's more negotiation.
Yes. Yeah.
I think in terms of negotiation, we found that I think alliances will form quite
Quite naturally.
Yeah,
like,
quite
Rohan
naturally,
was just like talking nice to me in the beginning. I was like, all right, China and the Middle East. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of had your alliance going on.
I think it's because in the beginning we were just role playing our nations, right? So I was America, so obviously I'm not going to work with the Middle East, whose like special card was called terrorism.
But you were
right?
fighting with Russia, though.
I was
we
was kind of.
You're good
I
back
think EU was between us. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it was between
yeah,
us,
so
really,
EU was
honestly.
between us, so we didn't.
I
really-
think a lot of the political relationships are like hard coded into the game.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if
Well, it's just
necessarily
with
is
the
a good thing.
borders.
But it's kind of like that
and almost-
diplomacy, too, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the issues happen because of where the borders happen to be, because diseases and everything, because mostly attacking is from biological warfare.
Yeah.
And that really, they could only spread through land borders. So it almost shows you, like, how nations interact with each other just because they're adjacent to each other.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So I think overall, in summary, I think we do enjoy the game. It could also be because of the people involved. I mean, we were all like joking, we were all role playing a bit, and we were all pretending to be rhythm nations. I think we didn't really get very angry at each other for like attacking us.
No.
There was a few mini surprises. So.
yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you
Terrorism.
feel like when there's no real vindictive feeling when
No,
we
yeah.
attack each other?
I mean,
Yeah.
I was
criminal.
You guys were attacking me with biological weapons a lot over in China, and I was kind of like,
The most popular.
Yeah.
Like
I
this
mean,
is-
it's just you could get the most
Yeah.
points for your buck
Right.
there. In comparison to like getting 1 over in US, you could get like 5 in
Yeah.
China.
Correct,
Just
yeah.
because of
So-
the population.
in terms of like the players interacting, like being vindictive and stuff, it doesn't work the same way when it's just all this stuff is slowly being reduced instead of me building something and then having you destroy it.
That
makes it so that it's,
correct. Yeah,
you don't really care
start
as
off
much
with
when someone goes after
correct.
you.
You don't
Yeah.
still have the building thing, so you don't kind of feel invested in a way.
Yeah, you don't invest the same way, which is kind of good. It helps it,
Yeah.
it moves a little more quickly.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So overall, I think we will still want to play it again. Play it with 6. But I would say that in terms of recommendation, I think you should try it first before you buy it, so that you can get a feel whether the game and the theme and the gameplay whether it will suit you and your group as well. All right. So that's tomorrow from Conquistador Games. All right. Also from GameSalute as well. All right. Thank you very much. See you. Say bye.
Bye.